welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Carla. I'm so excited for this conversation today.
Me too. So, some of you may know if you're an OG here, back in episode 27, that's when Nicole actually came on for the first time. And in that episode, she went through all of the different energy types for human design. So, I will link to that in the show notes, but also it's actually going to drop as a throwback episode so that you can go back through and reconnect with human design, especially if you're relatively new to it. But in saying that, many people may not have actually come across human design before. So, before they go back and listen to that episode, Nicole, how would you explain human design to someone who has just never heard that term and you're basically speaking alien?
Yeah,
like, what is human
absolutely.
design?
So it's known as the science of differentiation, which I think is a really cool explanation. So it means that we're all designed uniquely and differently, and we're designed to live our lives in different ways. And also, it's this system that brings together ancient wisdom with modern science. So it blends the I Ching, astrology, the chakra system, the Kabbalah, and quantum physics. And these systems come together to really add, like, it's a map of your energetic design, basically. So having this inner GPS where it can guide you in a direction so you can navigate life with more alignment and purpose and flow. So it's this beautiful masculine system in a lot of ways that you can use quite practically in your life to do things like make decisions more clearly and understand your strategy as well. There's so many different areas, but essentially when you're living in accordance to your design, you do have more energy, you've got more clarity, you're able to really magnetize opportunities towards you more and navigate life with more alignment. So yeah, it's been an incredible thing for me and so many of my clients as well to sort of really understand this system. So I do a lot of readings where you actually can look up your chart and you can see this map of your energetics. So that's what I read. So I can read and see what might be blocking someone from really leaning into their full potential, and also like their gifts and their strengths. So it's a beautiful system that, you know, can bring a lot of alignment and a lot of clarity to your life, really.
Yeah. And look, back in, it was 2019, I'm pretty sure, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 2019 when I first came to you and you did a human design reading on me. And it was like a permission to be myself. And I realized, okay, the way that I am is just the way that I am supposed to be. It's not wrong. So I don't need to make myself wrong for being the way I am. I don't need to make myself wrong for having this energy that just gradually gets depleted at the end of the day. Because I suppose for anyone listening who maybe is a little bit familiar with the human design, we're both projectors. But then also I remember looking in and having a look at my children, and they're all generators. So no wonder one having three young kids at that time I had two, and I only had two when I first met you. Now there's three. So it's not just the fact of having kids, but it's also to do with your energy type and understanding how you can utilize that to, yeah, like you said, make better decisions in your life and your business. And I think too, as you were speaking, I think it really shows what a lot of people want is to just get reconnected with kind of like their intuition. And this is my kind of understanding is I feel like there's a lot of links between your intuition, your human design, but you just don't realize. Like that's something that I think I've observed on myself was I know that things are a no or things are a hell yes, but I didn't even realize that that was actually according to my design. And the more I went into it, the more that everything just became a lot easier. Did you find that too? Out your
Yeah,
design?
mine works a little bit differently to that. But for you, you are splenic authority. So you are designed to really trust in those intuitive nudges in the now to guide you to make the most aligned decisions. So really tuning in and listening to your body's wisdom is really important when you get those intuitive, they're almost like hits, and yeah, this beautiful inner knowing. And for me, it gave me a lot of confirmation because all of us are designed to make decisions with our body, and there's 7 different authorities in human design, but mine's self-projected authority, so it's to do with my identity center. And for me, speaking out loud until my truth becomes clear and really feeling it in my like chest space when something's aligned, it's almost like this flower opening up and blooming inside me. I get this beautiful warm feeling there. But a big thing for me is from a young child, I've always spoken to myself out loud, just to myself, like talked things out to myself. So that was a big aha moment because I realized that I'd intuitively done that throughout my life, made decisions in that way. So, yeah, a lot of confirmation there that sometimes just naturally we are living in alignment in some aspects of our design, and others are epiphany and light bulb moments where we're learning new things and learning that if we don't work past our energetic capacity, like for us as projectors, that life opens up with a lot more flow, and rather than hustling and forcing things, that things happen with a lot more ease. So yeah, it's really fascinating discovering that.
It is super fascinating. Recognizing there were certain things that were a part of your design from when you were a child, but you didn't realize that you were even doing them. They were just innately within you, how you'd speak out loud, and that's how you come to your decision. Those sorts of things. And I feel like, too, there were definitely things that I recognize. And I know everybody listening will recognize that there's certain things that they have always done, whether they are intuitive or whether they are someone who has to vocalize it or whether they have to ride those emotional waves, whatever it is that their authority is, they will know what it is. What's the easiest way for you to make a decision? You just know. And I could not tell you, ever since having that reading with you, how many times I have had to lean into it more and more and more and get better at catching it too, because I found that that intuitive hit would hit once and then it's
Yes.
gone. And it would only hit again if it was something really important or obviously prevalent that it came up twice, but otherwise it would just be that one time. And if I missed it, I missed it, So I had to constantly keep a
Yeah.
notebook by my side or in my bag because otherwise I would miss them. So you have started integrating gene keys into your work along with the human design. So again, for anyone listening, what are gene keys, Nicole?
Yeah,
So
so
gene
the Gene
keys.
Keys is probably more of a feminine system than human design. So if I think of human design, it's a little bit more masculine. It's a practical system where you're really experimenting with your design. Whereas the Gene Keys is, this more beautiful feminine wisdom. It's the art of contemplation. So it's really when you have a reading and you dive into one of your sequences, there's the genius sequence, which is diving into your purpose and your life's work and the things that keep you healthy and your evolution. So there's these beautiful different spheres that you go through. Then the Venus is more to do with love and relationships, attraction and purpose. And then there's the Pearl sequence, which is vocation. It's really diving into career and money and things like that, and your brand, and really diving into that sort of stuff. So that's beautiful if you've got a business to really understand that one. There's a different frequencies as well. So there's a shadow frequency of each of these expressions as well. So there's a shadow, which we all know it can be things that are a little bit sticky for us, a little bit harder. And then it moves into the gift expression and then the city. So the gift is almost like this beautiful gift that we're here to give to others. And the city is the highest expression. So it's really using the I Ching, which is also used in human design. So it's complements each other in that way, and there's a lot of different aspects where you can tie the two in together beautifully. There's actually a new sequence which is just launching at the moment called the Star Pearl as well, so that's ever changing and flowing. New activations are launching, so I love that as well, that there's more to learn, and that is beautiful for me as well, being a projector, someone that loves to learn, that loves to follow their fascinations, that there's a new sequence to explore and discover now as well.
Yeah. Do you find too sometimes you just get I feel like sometimes it's overwhelming with the amount of stuff that I'm researching or wanting to learn. We definitely are on the same page with that, with this. There's never enough to learn. There's always more and it's always evolving. So, look, from listening to that, I have obviously spoken to you about this, learn a little bit about it. But for someone listening that's going, what? What, Nicole? Like, where do I start? Do I go with human design? Do I just understand my human design and then the gene keys? And like, what do you think is the most important way for someone to do it if they're honestly they're a business owner and they're wanting to grow their business or obviously want to grow their impact, their income? What do you think's a really good place to start?
A lot of people
Recommend?
ask this, and people will have multiple readings, starting with I do a decode my design reading, which is a personal reading. So that's really exploring their life and relationships and things like that. So it's a really practical system. And the way that I describe it is in that way. So you can really use it in your day-to-day life. It's not complicated, and that's a really beautiful place to start because you're understanding your strengths and your gifts. And I do sprinkle in some business if someone has a business as well, or just for their career, so they can understand how to use it in day-to-day life. But then moving in, if you've got a business, to have a business career reading after that, which is an Illuminate business reading. So that's a really good one to flow on from there. Once you understand that, about a month later, I'd recommend to really experiment a little bit first before we dive into business. And then we can dive deep into strategies and, even how you work with other people. And there's so many different areas that you can dive into with business. That's a big key area that I work with my clients in that area, particularly online businesses, because there's so much in social media and just even building out your offers and your capacity. And, there's a lot of different areas that you can work with it in business. And then if you were to have a Gene Keys reading, I kind of feel with Gene Keys, it is designed to start with the activation genius sequence first and then move to the Venus and then move to the Pearl. But I do find that a lot of people are attracted to a certain one, and it doesn't have to be done in a particular way. So really see where you're drawn into first. And for me, it was the Pearl as well. Really my vacation
Yeah,
and
of
things
course
like
it
that.
was because of pill. And it has
Yeah,
to do with money
exactly.
and wealth and career and purpose. Yeah. I feel like that is definitely what we're both drawn to. So I feel like this is probably a perfect segue into what we've created together,
Yeah.
Nicole, which is pretty exciting. And then we can dive into a few more fun questions to finish off. So if you don't know, I'm going to quickly pop in here a little promo that I recorded that I've put in previous episodes, but this is about the Money Moves program, the sequence to six figures that Nicole and I have created together. So a quick interruption just to let you know that this episode is sponsored by an incredible collaboration that I am doing with the incredible Nicole Towers, who is a fantastic human design expert. And we have created a program called Money Moves, the sequence to six figures. So this collaboration has been in the making for quite some time, and now it just feels like it is divinely aligned to bring it together and put it out into the world to help as many women as possible. So this is where we're going to blend the power of human design with wealth energetics and business mastery. So for those of you who are early stage entrepreneurs who are feeling stuck in the cycle of free downloads and cookie cutter strategies, this is your invitation to transformation, because the exhaustion of just trying everything without seeing the results that you really desire stops here. What makes this program really unique is the fact that you're not just getting one mentor, but two projectors who understand the depth of what it takes to really build a sustainable, aligned business. Nicole and I are both mothers, and we both bring our unique geniuses to this program. So Nicole's going to help guide you through your human design as your business compass, while I am going to help you unlock those deeper money blocks and step into your CEO mindset. So over 12 transformative weeks, we'll take you from feeling overwhelmed and scattered to becoming a confident, empowered CEO who trusts herself and her business decisions. You're going to learn how to create magnetic offers, build automated systems that work while you rest, and develop a wealth mindset that attracts so much abundance. The beauty of having two projected coaches is the fact that we just naturally go really, really deep. We're both very passionate about creating lasting transformation, not just quick fixes and not just following someone else's method, when we know that the key to success lies within you and your own unique way of doing things. So our combined expertise creates a powerful container for your growth, supporting you with both strategy and energetic alignment. So if you're feeling called to join us on this journey, then I invite you to get on the waitlist now for some pretty epic bonuses that you're not going to want to pass up. So simply visit the link in the show notes and we will let you know as soon as the doors open so that you can secure your spot. Now, let's get back to the episode. So on that note, let's discuss money
Yes.
moves. We called it Money Moves for a reason, because obviously that is a huge focus of ours. And we specifically made the tagline, the sequence to six figures, because it really is to help out the entrepreneurs who are in the early stages of business, or maybe in their first couple of years, and they kind of feel like they just keep treading water and not really getting anywhere too fast. Because Nicole, we've been there. So collectively, we have over 10 years of experience working for ourselves. So we have done many things that have worked, have not worked. We've learned a lot of lessons along the way. We've observed a lot. And where do you think we should start, Nicole, honestly?
Wow. Yeah, there's so much, isn't there? We are,
Mm.
it's sort of something that we've always wanted to collaborate together. So when we got together, we actually had a great session where we were like chatting about all these ideas. And then you were talking about this program that you were going to be launching. You're like, why don't we do this together? I'm like, that is so aligned. And I actually even looked, because I love looking at human design to see what the transits are when you're actually downloading a new course or a new program and seeing the chart for your program. So that came up with such alignment with everything that was in that. And it was like, this is the time. So since then, we've
Yeah,
been chatting
this
back
is
and forth about
powerful.
it and delving into the modules and there's just so much that we want to give, but also want it to be really a lot of clarity as well, like removing the overwhelm, because from 0 to 6 figures, it's a lot, from mindset to limiting beliefs. And then when you're understanding your human design in there and your money mindset, it's this beautiful synthesis really together of bringing our knowledge and wisdom together with being projectors as well, seeing our clients really deeply. And I think we work in a lot of ways. It's quite interesting. We've had a lot of the same clients over the years. A lot of the same private clients have gone from one to the other, and because they've been really drawn to both of us and learning, because what we have is quite different knowledge that really complements one another. So yeah, it's a really exciting thing to come together to create this program that's really about strategy and alignment and energetics. A lot of business coaches and a lot of the industry really speak a lot on strategy. And there's even a lot that do energetics, but there's not a lot that tie them both together, that sort of see your energetics deeply and see who you are. And in the program, looking up everyone's charts and bringing them up and giving them practical advice for them, not what's just worked for me. And of course, like, for us to be able to give really good guidance as well, we need to have walked the walk and had those experiences that we've had. We're absolutely going to draw from those, but we're not just going to say what's worked for us and for them to just blindly copy or to have those cookie cutter strategies.
This is something that we have had in the works for quite some time. And when you did that chart for Money Moves, which we've now decided to call it, it was just unquestionable that it was something that we had to birth, and now was the right time to do it. But I find too, even doing this, like you said, we've had similar clients. They've come to me, come to you, vice versa. And I think that's really cool because they obviously resonated with both of our energies and the way that we communicate, the way that we do things, and the way that we teach. And I feel like it has something to do with our projector superpower and seeing people for who they truly are. So the fact that we get to bring all of our knowledge and our lessons and the things that we have learned over the years, there is just so much that we can help people, especially mothers, to go through, because you and I are both mothers and we have both built our businesses whilst raising children. And that comes with its own challenges. Not that anyone listening to this is going to realize, but my children have interrupted this episode about 4 times. So, it comes with its challenges. But I also find, what you were saying around, there's a lot of talk around the strategy and the strategy for different people in business and depending on what they want to create. But I feel like the typical advice or the cookie cutter strategies, they just don't work for everybody. And some people, of course, yes, they will, particularly maybe if you're a generator. But I have found when I look at these steps and you've got to follow this method or this formula to get to XYZ, my mind goes, no, there has to be an easier way. There has to be a more simple and more efficient way. Why is there a million
Yeah.
steps? And that is, again, that's just the way that we think. We actually see a lot of shortcuts. The steps aren't necessary. Whereas I have definitely thought I've had to follow this method or that method, and I've just gotten to the end and been so burnt out and my energy wasn't behind it. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. It's when your energy is behind what it is you're doing. It's not necessarily what you're doing, but it's why you're doing it. But if you're so in love with it and lit up by it and it's done in a way that it's unique to you, you use your strengths, that energy is then felt and transferred through your work, whatever that work may be. Maybe it's through the podcast, maybe it's through the programs, maybe it's through your one-to-one coaching, but whatever you're putting your time and effort and energy into and you love it, you can tell like that is felt. And when you're just doing things for the sake of ticking a box because someone told you have to do it, you don't get the same result. And then you can obviously feel bitter and like you've wasted your time, maybe like you've wasted your money, your
Yeah.
effort. And what was it all for? So I feel like we've both learnt that. And not that there's any right or wrong way, I think too, but I think that's our unique power as projectors, is to see these shortcuts that other people can't see. I always say it's kind of like you can see the path, like you see their potential and how to get there, but they can't see it yet because they don't even know that this path exists.
It's all about efficiency for projectors,
Mm,
and the motherhood piece as well, because we both started our businesses predominantly because we didn't want to go back to a 9 to 5, and then discovering our human design even confirmed that even more, that we're not really designed in that way. So it's building something that doesn't sacrifice freedom and doesn't sacrifice time with our family. It's building something that is sustainable and that we love, but it doesn't have to be working 50, 60 hours a week. It can be working minimal hours a week, but working really effectively, and then guiding others to do the actions that move the needle forward. Because I know that both of us have definitely been on the hamster wheel in the early stages of our business and tried all the strategies and worked with a bunch of different coaches. But for me, a lot of the time, it was meant with roadblocks because I actually didn't follow that. But then it just left me more confused because I'd invested yet again
mm.
and it wasn't feeling aligned. So then I didn't do it. And then it was sort of like, maybe I'm not cut out for business. Maybe I'm not cut out for entrepreneurship. But really, when I started working with my human design initially and then moving into the gene keys, it's just knowing what my strengths are and building a more of a strengths-led business. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where Money Moves is really different, because not only are we blending the things that we have learned, but we're not going to force you to do our way. Of course, we're going to give you the strategies that we've created in a way, because they are pretty much the shortcut version and the things that we believe truly matters. And I don't think it needs to be as complicated. But of course, there's going to be times where things are going really great and then you have harder times, and it is a bit of a roller coaster at times until you can begin to stabilize it. But especially in those first couple of years, I feel like it's a real roller coaster experience that many have, and they don't know whether it's sustainable. And that's where we're different, because we want you to build a business that is sustainable. It is for the long term. It is going to support you to create true freedom around your children. We are not like you have to work 7 days a week, you've got to be getting 40 hours in, you've got to do all these things and then burning yourself out, because we know that balance is something that every woman, every mother in particular, is working towards. And we do believe that you can have, do, and be it all. Maybe not all necessarily at the same time. Let's be honest, if your kids are sick, everything else takes the back burner. But we know that there is a quicker way to get to where it is you desire to go, because we have made many mistakes and probably could have avoided losing so much time and maybe money as well on things that we thought we had to do or we thought we should do. We thought that was the right way because we didn't yet know to listen to our inner guidance system. We didn't really understand ourselves even more, but like we do now. And I feel like business and entrepreneurship and motherhood and blending it all together is only getting easier. Have you
Yeah,
found that too?
absolutely. It's repeatable systems now and repeatable strategies that feel aligned. So it's much more pleasurable. And my content creation process is a joy now. Whereas before it was looking at and trying to research what everyone else is doing and things like that. It's really knowing what works for me and knowing that it's not about all of the analytics and things like that so much. Like, I definitely study the data, but it doesn't matter about the metrics as much as who I'm connecting with. And that's something that happens, like creating a podcast and emailing and things like that, the amount of people that come through and from listening to that and really resonating with that. So it's about working with your design and seeing what works. And for both of us, it's using our voice. So that's something that we really leverage in our design. It's not going to be like that for everyone. You can definitely work with a lot of different areas. So it's about finding the right strategies for you as an individual so you can
Yeah.
thrive in a unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? As much as it was terrifying to start my podcast, and I had the download 12 months before I actually did it and put it out there, it has been by far the best thing I've ever done for myself as a creative outlet, but also getting to speak to incredible women.
Yeah.
And most of the time at the beginning, the first couple of years, it was pretty much just solo episodes. But now I'm really leaning into, well, another one of my superpowers, not just speaking, because I could clearly speak underwater, but another one of my superpowers is actually building relationships and genuine connections and really wanting to learn about people. So I've lent more into collaborating through the podcast and having more guests, and it is so much
Yeah.
fun. I could just do this forever. This is crazy to think that this is work, but we're having a conversation that's going to help someone. I know as well, which is really funny to reflect on, but this goes to show the power of leaning into your strengths and building a business in alignment with your strengths. Because when I did do this, when I lent into having a podcast and I've just gotten better and better at it, I think, God, go back to listen to some of the first few episodes. It's a bit cringy, but good.
A
There's a
lot
lot
of
of gold
learning.
there. A lot of learning. But I also found that over 95% of my clients came from this podcast. And people to this day still DM me and say, I've just binged your podcast. You know, this will be episode 124 that we're
Wow.
recording right now, which is crazy. And I just checked again the other day, and 111 countries have now tuned
Beautiful
into
angel
this
numbers as
podcast.
well. I love it.
Angel numbers as well while we're getting into this incredibly expansive year. But yeah, isn't it mind blowing to think that you get an intuitive nudge, whatever it might be, your body's just telling you this is the thing to do, and you learn to lean into your strengths and you trust that it's all going to work out. And I always say this like a broken record, but Mick and I always say the saying, it's all coming together. It's all coming together. And I truly believe that now because I've repeated it so many times. It's all coming together. So I know whenever I'm leaning into my strengths, whenever I'm making a decision too, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, especially when it comes to business. And you've really got to trust your authority there and lean into that, because I think that no matter what, when you feel good and you know you're making decisions in alignment with your strengths and your authority is obviously human design, the way that we make decisions, just in case anyone's like, wait, what are you talking about authority? The more that you lean into that, the more that things just become easier and effortless. And of course, too, when it does come to business, there is a big proponent there for systems and the tech and having processes and even support. But we know how much you can do by yourself. Maybe if you're not ready to fully invest and get help too, I think that is also the person that we're sort of helping. They're in the beginning stages. Maybe they've been a solopreneur for a while. Maybe they have one or two VAs that might help them and things, but they're predominantly by themselves. We don't have a lot of quote unquote free time to grow our businesses. Yet we've still managed to, and predominantly most of that was through being a solopreneur and raising children and working. I only quit my job in December 2023. So it's still doing all of that at the same time. You can grow an extremely successful business that you love, that provides you the freedom, the capacity to have an income around your family in not much time every week. Let's be honest. I think the hours fluctuate, but you could spend 10 to 15 hours a week on your business and still be very successful. The fact is that there is a big underlying belief that I know we both see, is that the harder you work, the more you'll be rewarded. But it's not always the case. And I know for us, we find that if we just time block and we work, 90-minute chunks, we get so much done when it's focused, it's intentional, and we're clear. And I think that those are honestly the biggest differentiators for us and our program. So, yeah, if you're listening and you're thinking, okay, I really want to ramp things up this year and I really want to get to that 6-figure year and I just want things to feel easy and feel in alignment and feel like everything's coming together and you feel supported, then please check out the show notes because all the links are in there. But that is just the way that hopefully you can understand a little bit about us and the way that we have grown our businesses. But is there anything else you want to add, Nicole? Because I feel like, honestly, we could talk for days about this. And
Yeah, I think it's just really the program that we knew we had to create in that way. And it's really, as I was mentioning, it's the strategy and the energetics, and it's really understanding who they are at the essence. And we'll be going through all sorts of different areas as well. So in this program, Money Moves, we're really going to be diving into the beautiful foundations that you need to build this sustainable business in alignment. But we're going to be talking a lot about the client journey and magnetism and irresistible offers that are really aligned, really diving deeply into the human design with that part of things. So it's really a different way to look at it, rather than just have a strategy, follow this step of creating an offer and selling an offer. Everything is going to be sprinkled in with how that aligns for you, how you are designed to sell, how you are designed to market and looking at your strategy and looking at quite the deeper parts of your design as well. So yeah, that's really exciting to combine that. And obviously your beautiful wisdom in money mindset, magic, and through that business lens too for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just something too we need to be able to blend everything together because as we both know, human design has a massive part in your success in business and actually feeling successful. But then also your money mindset, in the way that I explain it, is a form of personal development. And it's really going to either support you or hinder you and your success. You know, it comes up in the way that you price, in the way that you position yourself, in the way that you sell, in the way that you leave money on the table, in the clients that you take on. This is for the woman that's actually here to build a long lasting legacy. And that's what you and I have both wanted too. So it's not something that we don't want you just to come into this for, okay, I just want to hit six figures and I'm done. I just want quick cash. It's not about that. We really want a room of pioneers who want to be leaders in their industry, who really want to shake it up and do things their way to build a business in a way that they love and that is sustainable and that creates that sense of freedom. Because I think at the end of the day, there are certain steps, which is hence why we call it Money Moves the sequence to six figures, because we believe that there is a sequence that you can take that will get you to exactly where it is that you want to go. And we're so clear and intentional, which is part of the first thing that you will do, is to actually be able to set your intentions in the way that we do it so that it's very specific. So you will know and be able to see your progress throughout the program. But we're there every step of the way. We're going to give you that personal approach, that personal feedback and guidance and support every step of the way. So we probably should mention too, it's a minimum 3-month program. You can obviously stay on for longer if you'd like to, but the way that it is designed is a minimum 3-month commitment because we really want to have that time and space with you because we know that this sort of stuff takes time to implement. And also, there's going to be a lot of limiting beliefs and things that come up as you're going through the modules and as we're having our calls and as you get to build these beautiful connections with the other ladies that are in the program. There's going to be a lot that comes up. So we're there to work through everything, through the strategy with the practical and also the energetic things and limiting beliefs that come up because we know that your success is inevitable when you truly believe in you. But I think it's so powerful and important to have not one, but two mentors in this program. Let's add two mentors that actually believe you and they see you deeply and they see your potential and they're there to back you up every step of the way. And of course, lovingly call you out when you need it because we are not here for excuses. We are human. We are women. We get it. But we know that you can do it. So we're also going to help you rise.
Love that. You couldn't have said it more beautifully. And it is that thing that from 0 to 6 figures, there's so many things in terms of the mindset blocks and the limiting beliefs that do come up. And that is a lot of really what blocks the income coming in. And also that blocks the right people from coming to you and it blocks the opportunities as well. So it's really being able to pinpoint those through your work and my work. And my work is also, another way to put it, is the conditioning that we've picked up from childhood and from the people around us that we've taken on as our own. So by looking at your chart, I'm able to really see where those challenges are and where you might be blocked and starting to bring awareness to that. And you've got the beautiful practical wisdom and exercises like EFT and things like that, where you're actually embodying, all these aspects too, rather than it just being on an intellectual level, understanding. We're going to take you through, the body's wisdom too.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, if anyone is interested, please go to the show notes. All the links are there and literally the doors are going to open as this episode drops. So they're open. So come and join us. But let's switch gears because we were talking about limiting beliefs there for a second. So what is a money mindset block that you have now debunked?
Ooh, yes. So for me, it's probably something we touched on a little bit, but that making money is hard, that making money requires a lot of effort. And I don't mean that I don't put in effort, but it's working past my energetic capacity. In previous jobs, I was the first one there and the last one to leave. And I would, because I'm a projector, I was working more with generators and was conditioned to work as a generator and really live my life more as a generator. So that was a real aha moment, discovering I was a projector. And so for me, it was always equating that to, I had to work really long hours. I had to work nights. I had to push myself to burnout to be able to make money, and always probably undercharging and over delivering was my go-to in life. So releasing that is such an epiphany, really. And yeah, you can get paid beautifully and what you desire to be paid for. It's because you're not taking something away from someone else by selling to them, especially when you've got a business. You're actually adding and enhancing their life. So that's a big shift as well, that what you have to give is actually going to make a positive impact on someone's life. So you don't need to undercharge. And also, a lot of the time it elevates people. If you're undercharging or giving a lot of discounts all the time, energetically yourself may feel bitter or resentful. And then also the person on the other end may not show up. It doesn't really allow the other person to step up and really get the most out of it and try their hardest either, because they've got nothing at stake. But when you're actually investing in yourself and in your knowledge and your wisdom and your money in terms of your income for your family to be able to do these beautiful things with your family, like travel and have a beautiful home that you've always dreamed of, whatever your desire is, you're giving them that wisdom so they can unlock that in themselves and see their true potential. So yeah, that was probably a
Yeah.
long version of a block, but yeah.
No, 100%. I think it's something that everyone resonates with, like deep down. Well, not everyone, let's generalize, but I feel like most women that I have met, and also
Yeah.
myself, it was the same conditioning. Again, we both come from corporate. We get it. We're there, we're working our asses off. We're getting promoted. We're doing all the things. Like we're ticking all the boxes, but we're literally just burnt out at the end of the day. And there's always a cap. So hence we
Yeah.
ended up here.
And you can't do that. Like when you're a mother as well, there comes a certain point where something has to shift. And that's when we move to having our own business, because we couldn't keep doing the same things in the same way forever.
No, you definitely couldn't. And I also think that it came with, I know I was made redundant when I was pregnant with my first, and I had told them I was pregnant, and 2 weeks later I was
Mm,
redundant. I don't think that was a coincidence. I do believe that it was just okay, that's a big nudge going, this isn't the right
yeah.
place for you, and things are going to shift and change here. But honestly, it all worked out. It's all coming together. That mantra, it all worked out for the best. It was fantastic in the end. But yeah, when you get that calling to start something of your own, I think a lot of the times it does happen after you have your first or second, or doesn't matter how many children you've got. At some point, you realize that you just want to be there and you don't want to miss those
Yeah.
moments, because we don't get that time back. And I think time freedom is the biggest gift that you can have, and also give your kids quality
Yeah,
time with you.
absolutely.
So, how do you measure success in your career and
Yeah.
life?
So for me, it's a few things. It's having an impact, really feeling like I'm making a difference and being recognized for that as well. Not in a fame way, but just being recognized that someone sees that wisdom and is benefiting from that as well. Also, freedom is a big thing, spaciousness. So, feeling like I have the spaciousness to do what I want in my free time and not be working all of the time, and just being really clever about the way that I structure work. So, I have time with my family and spaciousness, but also having passive income coming through. So, that's a beautiful thing. If you're at the beach with your children and then you're getting those notifications that people are booking in with you or someone's bought something from you, a product, it's an amazing feeling, really, that you've put in that effort and worked really hard, and then it's coming through when you've got that beautiful family time or whatever you're doing at the time. So I think that's a big thing for me. Freedom, spaciousness, and impact would be the things that is true success for
Yeah.
me. When we are aligned for projectors, it's feeling
Mm.
successful. And it's not always
Yeah.
just monetary as well. That's a fantastic thing, but it's also, yeah, having that impact on others is a big thing.
Yeah. Well, so hence why I have that question there, right? Because success is a big theme in
Yeah.
my life. And like you said, it is a theme for a projector. So for me, it's definitely that feeling of accomplishment. Like I have achieved what I set
Mm,
out to achieve, my big vision. Don't get me wrong, the goalpost is always moving. But I feel like as long as I am building momentum and I'm making progress towards my big goals, I feel successful because I'm not stuck, if that
yeah.
makes sense. So I think it's that constant striving for more. But I also feel success with being able to actually be present with my kids. That to me feels like success, because that is something I actually had to work on for many years. I would always be in my head with what's next, what's next, what's next,
Mm.
and when you have little kids too, and you're just like, oh, what am I going to do for lunch? This one's going to have a nap, and I've got to do this. All the things I constantly was living in the future. I have to actively work on this too, but I feel successful when I can actually switch off and I can just be there with them in that moment and have that time as well. Like you said, time, I have that beautiful gift of being able to spend my time how I choose. I'm at every pickup, I'm at every drop off, I'm at every after school activity. I
Yeah,
don't miss a
same.
thing. And that is what I always wanted. Yeah. Like I remember way before I was pregnant and even thinking about having kids, that is what I always envisioned. I always envisioned being there for all the things and not missing it. And it's probably because I had really hardworking parents, right? They both worked two jobs for most of my life, but my mum worked in the afternoon. So we'd get picked up, or my cousins would pick us up, and we'd have a babysitter until like 5:30 when my dad got home. But my mum would leave before we even got home from school. Mum would get home when we were asleep, so I didn't get to
Yeah.
see my parents as much as what I would have loved to from Monday to Friday. So that's something that I always wanted to. So yeah, I think it's those sorts of things. As long as I'm making progress, I feel like I'm successful. And as long as I still have that quality time and that present energy, I feel successful. But, of course, words of affirmations is one
Yeah,
of my love
absolutely.
languages. So that is definitely up there too. So, another one. What's a book that's deeply impacted your life?
I love that Elizabeth Gilbert book, Big Magic. That's a really amazing book.
Oh.
And, so many beautiful moments, and it's almost like poetic moments in that book. But there's one that is about fear, and that it's always going to be with you. And it's about not letting fear control. It's about when you're driving the car saying, hey, fear, you're going to stay in the back seat. You're not going to take the driver's seat, but I know that you're here and I acknowledge that you're here, and I'm going to bring awareness that I might be scared of, doing a presentation or whatever it might be, knowing that you're not trying to push it away and alleviate that it's always going to be there, but almost having a relationship with that in a way, and,
Mm.
shifting your mindset and knowing I'm going to prepare for this. Just for instance, if it is a presentation that you've got to do, I'm going to shift that to, rather than letting fear take over and anxiety and worrying about what people will think or if I say the wrong thing, it's shifting it and knowing, yes, I'll probably be afraid, but I'm well prepared and I'm going to do my best job, so it's sort of just shifting that mindset in that way. But there's a lot of, it's definitely worth a read. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of beautiful moments in there.
I love that. And I love the way that you just explained fear then, because I remember hearing Tracy Harris, her name is,
Mm.
Mums with Hustle. I remember hearing her say on her podcast so many years ago, like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, saying you just got to feel the fear and do it anyway. And I thought, oh, but I'm such a chicken. But there are so many things that over these years, I've realized that fear is just this feeling to try and keep you safe and where you are and in the familiar, but nothing extraordinary or magic comes from the familiar, from the known, and from what you've always done. And if you have that inkling inside of you for more, to do more, to be more, to experience more, to live more, then you have to feel that fear anyway. And like you said, just picture it like it's in the back seat. Like it's fine. You're there. It's fine. But I know this is going to come together. It's going to be okay. Even Mick, my husband, yesterday, he was saying, he was like, I wonder if you knew when it was your last day on earth. Maybe it wouldn't be bad if you knew, because you would probably actually live more and you would do the things that you wanted to do. You wouldn't put them
Mm.
off. And I thought that was really quite
Yeah,
interesting, you know? And for everyone listening too, what are the things that you've been putting off? Especially if you're a business owner, what is the business you want to create? What are the things that you're ready to let go and leave behind? The things that you're ready to birth, the impact you want to make, the legacy you want to create. What is that? And why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Because I think regret is the worst thing that you can have at the end of the day. Because when your time is up, and again, we don't know when our time is up, but maybe if we did, we wouldn't have excuses. We wouldn't have reasons. We would just do the
mm.
damn thing and play around and find out what happens, because it could just be better than what we ever imagined. So getting at it.
Absolutely. And if I reflect on starting a business, there's been so many, for thinking about fears, that have popped up along the way. And even those things are so much easier now. I wouldn't say that it's gone, like we were talking about, but it's having those aligned action steps that you take, and the muscle memory in doing these things. It was such a big thing to do that first thing, but really on your way to six figures, you have to be visible and you have to do these scary things, because that is a part of it, really. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, taking aligned action, but getting out of your comfort zone quite often as well.
100%. You've got to be comfortable being
Yeah.
uncomfortable. That's the only way you grow. The only way that you grow. But you're right. There is just so many times, especially on that part of your journey, that you really need to confront yourself. And that is the most prevalent part where all those limiting beliefs come up. And it's not that they ever fully go away. I have had someone ask me before, can you ever fully eliminate your money blocks? And my answer is, well, no, because they're like onions, there's layers to them. You may, I'm not saying you definitely can't, but what I've seen, and it doesn't seem to matter what part of the journey. So, don't feel defeated if you're at the beginning of your journey and you're in the first couple of years, or whether you've totally made it and you're at seven figures plus and beyond. If these fears are still coming up, if these doubts, money blocks, they have so many layers to them. Sometimes you can completely dissolve them. They don't come up again. Or they come up, but they come up in a sneaky different fashion because something else has come up and it's triggered a memory or whatever it might have been. But I think as long as you keep moving forward, you keep feeling those fears, you look at them, you don't avoid them, you don't ignore them, you look at them, why are they coming up? And I think the belief work is one of the biggest things that you must do in the beginning, but also be committed to forever doing it, because it doesn't matter how successful, whatever your version of success is, it doesn't matter whether you get there or not, the goalpost is going to move. And so, of course, they're going to come up again, or they're going to come up in a different way. I think that's the deepest part in that journey. And it's honestly the thing that I know in the beginning that I was like, oh, I can't be bothered. I just want to know, how do I just build the business? How do I create my office? How do I put myself out there? How do I just attract the right clients? How?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hows. There's not a lot of be. Well, who am I going to be? How do I be her though when I've got all this stuff? Like, what is actually holding me back? What is holding me back deep down? What do I need to let go of? And who do I need to become? Not how do I do all these things? I think that's a really key question that we have to ask ourselves is, what am I holding on to? What's the worst thing that can happen if I do achieve everything I dreamed of? Because a lot of it is the fear of success. It's not failing that you're worried about. It's being too successful. That's what I find with most people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I do resonate with that. And a lot of the time it's really that we are procrastinating. So we're not doing the things that we needed to do to move the needle forward. So we're trying to research something else or take another course or add another thing to our to-do list. But really it's preventing us and blocking us from where we really need to be and what we really need to be doing. So a lot of it can be procrastination, and that's another form of blocking our success in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And look, procrastination. Sometimes I still am. I catch myself, but I was definitely a serial procrastinator. But now, whenever I find myself procrastinating, I ask myself, do I actually want to do this thing? Is it going to make a difference? Or is it just not that important to me?
That's a big thing as well, because
So,
quite often when you are procrastinating, it might mean that it's out of alignment.
and then also, I find procrastination can also be a little bit of a cover up for the limiting beliefs that you have. So you might procrastinate putting yourself out there. Let's say it's starting a podcast. You might procrastinate on starting the podcast because actually deep down you have this fear of being visible, this fear of being called an imposter, of a fraud, of people talking about you, of people treating you differently, of people not agreeing with you.
Yeah,
There's actually all these
absolutely. Yeah.
different fears, and it depends what it is. So there's a deep rabbit hole that you could go down. But whenever you're noticing any sort of self-sabotaging behavior, what's at the root cause of that? Because that will then bring you about a lot of answers. So to wrap it up, what's one money habit you believe everyone should adopt?
I think knowing your numbers, like not
Mm.
ignoring the figures and not ignoring the bills and how much is coming in and coming out. What I love to do yearly is really go over everything, every bill I've got, everywhere I'm spending, and really analyzing whether it's in my business, streamlining, taking away things that I no longer need, and always looking for things that I can maximize on, like so systems that do a lot more than one thing. So I can be paying less. And then even bills in the family as well. My husband and I regularly, ask for better deals or, call up and change companies if we're not going to get a better deal. So we really look at things like that. So the outgoings are less. And yeah, and just being aware of that. I think a lot of people hide from knowing their numbers and having that clarity there. And it is something that isn't the funnest thing to do sometimes, like really diving into that work. But when you do it, it makes such an impact because you've got more money for you. So yeah, that'd be yeah.
100%. We are very
Yeah.
much alike in that because I do that every year, if not a couple times a year. We'll look at everything and do the same
Mm.
thing because I think they are money
Yeah.
leaks. If you don't know where your money's going, that's a huge leak, right? You could think to yourself, I just need to make more, I need to make more, I need to make more. But in actual fact, it's that avoidance that can really affect you. And that could be the very money that you were looking for that trip, for that investment.
That's what you were saying before. It's something that we both do with our clients. That's one of the first things I do is sort of see where you're spending money and write down every expense they have in their business. And we kind of go through that and see if there's areas that we can take away or better systems that they can create courses from and things like that are more aligned for them. And straight away, it can save them, $50, $100 a month just from looking at that and seeing what could be done differently and more efficiently.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, again, one of our superpowers. I couldn't tell you how many times I've done that or how many times I have said to a client, why did you get that deal? You don't need that. Can you please change that? Yeah, I need you to go on this plan or use
Yeah,
this system because this actually has the capabilities to do these two things, not just one. And you will save more money that way. So it's just, again, efficiency. Simplicity and efficiency are our mottos in business and in life. So we're
definitely.
definitely going to help you with that. Again, before you go, if anyone is interested in joining Money Moves, the sequence of six figures, we obviously open up the doors today as this episode drops. If anyone is interested, please jump in the show notes and hit the link, or feel free to just DM either Nicole or I or both, doesn't matter, on Instagram. We are at Money Mindset Hub and Nicole is at Nicole Towers _. Everything is going to be in the show notes. Any questions, please let us know. We can help you, we can assist you, but we are so excited to invite you in and just guide you on this path for the next 3 months. So anyway, thank you so much for coming
Thank you for
on.
having me. It's been so much fun.
Oh, I mean, we're going to be spending a lot of time together. So, but this has just been, yeah, it's been such a beautiful friendship, Nicole, over the last, my God, like it's
Yeah.
2025 now. We met in 2019. This is a long time coming, but it's so beautiful when you do meet people, like yourself, and you just hit it off and you just speak the same language. You're on the same frequency. I don't know what it is, but it's just like your energy vibes, and there's nothing quite like it.
I'm so excited for this collaboration and to call in the most aligned clients and friends into our lives and to help them on this entrepreneurial journey so that they can have a more sustainable, aligned business and more spaciousness as well in their life.
100%. Freedom, spaciousness,
Yeah.
income, and impact. That's what we're here for. All right.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the incredible future episodes and guests that we have coming up for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our email list. Be sure to do so because we have some pretty epic things coming this year, as well as a mini magazine that will be sent to our subscribers every single month to help you with all things money and mindset, personal development, and entrepreneurship to help support you on your journey. So until next time, the world needs more kind-hearted women like you with deep pockets. So keep moving forward and never give up. I'll catch you in the next episode.